Okay, so yes, once again, very good evening to everyone, whoever has joined this session. So we would like to welcome you all. First of all, I would like to congratulate you all for passing the Modern Application Development 2 project course, and that too with a decent score. So yes, congrats for that. Now, as you all may know, that this session or this call is specifically to discuss the TA opportunity for the project courses that you might have also seen in the previous AppDev 2 Vivas or in the previous term that you would have just finished. So you would have seen that there was a long procedure which involves multiple levels like project submission, level one plagiarism checks, level two Vivas, and all. So there was one specific level that we are going to discuss in this today's call, that is going to be level one. So as you may know that the level one Vivas are usually conducted by those people who have already passed at least one diploma or of course means modern application development 1 and 2 courses with a decent score. So as you also have passed these two courses along with the diploma and have also been able to get a decent score in both of these courses, especially with respect to the application development. So we've thought of inviting you all to discuss this opportunity. So in this call, what we'll do is we will quickly walk you through the procedure that is involved in conducting all of these Vivas. After that, we'll also brief you that what your role is going to be if you take up this opportunity. And after that, we can take up your questions. We also have a couple of people joined from the previous term who have been TAs for the last term, May term. So they might also be able to give you or talk about their experiences in this call and might be able to help you with some of the questions that you may have. So I'll quickly start the recording. I'll quickly start the screen sharing, and I'm just going to walk through a simple flowchart that is also there in the guidelines document, just to make you aware of the entire procedure in case you are not. Okay, so I hope my screen is now visible to everyone, and as a flowchart should be visible on my screen at this moment. So right now you are able to see that this whole flowchart or this entire procedure of conducting Vivas for each and every student, whoever is enrolling into this course, has to go through these levels. These levels can be categorized into prelim level, level one level, and of course the level two. So what basically happens and how this procedure actually gets started. So as you know that we generally activate the submission links, and we accept submissions on a periodic cycle. That means we are going to process your submissions, or whatever submissions that were submitted in a particular week, those are going to be processed in the week after that. So this is how we are actually processing these submissions, so that we can basically scatter all of the submissions that we are receiving over a term period, so that we can process only so many of submissions in a given cycle. So what happens is whenever a student submits the project, whenever the next cycle comes, what we'll do is we will take a dump of all of the projects that have been submitted till so and so date. And firstly, we are going to run a script in order to check whether the project that was submitted is valid or not. Now here we are going to check for the file structures that we would have specified in the guidelines document. And this is basically what is going to happen in the preliminary checks, where we are going to check the project format. Now, once a project passes the project format or the initial validity checks, then we are going to push all of those projects that passed those initial checks to the plagiarism check. That is the initial plagiarism check. Now, once all of the plagiarism checks have been completed and we got the results, and the next that is going to happen is basically the level one thing. That means whoever has passed the plagiarism check, they are going to be shared the slot booking form for their level one Vivas. Once they book their level one slots, their level one Viva would be conducted. Uh, if they basically clear the cutoff for their level one Viva, which is also specifically given in the guidelines document for each and every term. So if anyone clears the cutoff for the level one Viva, they will be aligned for the level two Viva. In case they are not able to make it through the level one Viva in their first attempt, so they will be given some days of time, let's say a week's time, to submit their project once again after making the required changes. And after that, they will again appear for the level one Viva. So a student will be given, a maximum of two level one or two level one attempts in a given term. Right? If a student is not able to pass the level one viva in both of the attempts that he or she has been given, then he or she will eventually need to repeat the project in the next term. So once a student passes the level one check or the level one viva, either in the first attempt or in the second attempt, then they will be aligned for the level two viva. For level two Viva, again, there is a certain cutoff that they need to clear. Now, once the examiner has given the grading for a particular student, again, the grading has to be checked against whether the cutoff has been met or not. In case the cutoff has not been met, then the student will be required to pick their level two Viva slot again, because they will have to appear for it in order to pass the required cutoff. In case the student is able to meet the cutoff, then he or she will be able to pass the course. Well, not actually pass the course, he or she will be able to provisionally pass the course. And those who won't be able to make it even in the second attempt, they will again have to do the same, or repeat the entire procedure. That means work on the new problem statement, submit it, go through the validation checks and all in the next term cycle. Yeah. So I mentioned that a student will basically provisionally pass the course in case he or she passes the level two Viva. Well, I said this because there is a plagiarism check that is going to happen for every cycle. So in case a submission that was submitted in the first cycle somehow got matched, or we found some high percentage of similarity of with a submission that was submitted, let's say in the next cycle or in some later cycle. So in that case, both of those submissions will be reported, and yeah, whatever steps that are given here will will actually be followed. Like this will be added to their academic reports, and they will be given U grade, and they will ultimately have to repeat the project in the next term in whatever procedure follows. So this is basically the just a walkthrough of the entire procedure that we currently have, or that was actually put in from the previous term itself. So this was a new procedure that we have adopted in order to streamline the processes, or to streamline the conduction of these viva that we are doing in this project course. Yeah, so that's it. Do you have any questions with respect to the procedure as of now? We are going to talk about your role in a minute right after that. But yeah, let us take any questions in case you have with respect to the procedure involved. Okay, seems like no more questions. No questions at all. Okay, all right. So the place where we require your help is basically the level one stage. That means this middle stage. So here, what we require from your end is that whenever a student is eligible to appear in a level one viva, so of course you have been on the student side, so you might know that you are basically shared a slot booking form. You will have to book those slots, and then you get your level one viva booking done, and then you appear for it and do whatever is needed. Now if you become a ta, so what has to be done here is, so whatever slots that you used to get as a student, so those were the slots that we used to receive from the tas initially or in advance. So initially what we'll do is we are going to share the same or a similar looking slot booking form with you as well if you become TAs. So you will have to give us all of the available slots at which you can conduct those level one vivas on for the students. The student can be for aptiv 1, aptiv 2, that we can basically segregate once we receive the slots from you, or we are also going to share the different slot booking forms for each of the courses. So we'll be receiving those slots from you. Now after basically doing some sanity checks on those slots to make sure that there is no basically there is no conflict between the slots given by a particular ta, as it might happen that a ta may give the same slots for both of the courses. So in that case we have to resolve those conflicts. Now once all of those sanity things are done, and we have made sure that there are going to be no conflicts, we are going to release the final shortlisted slots to the students. Now once those slots are out, the students should be able to book those slots, and whenever a student book that slot, we are going to share the information with you that whoever student would have booked your slot, and whatever details that are required for you to conduct the viva. So what eventually you need to do in case or while conducting this viva is you will basically be given all of the details that are required So ultimately, you will be given a spreadsheet. In that spreadsheet, you will be given some basic student details that you basically need to check before you get started with the Viva. Those details may include the student email ID, the student image or photograph, and these things. Now, once that is done, there will again be one more thing that is really important. That is going to be checksum. So, as you might know, that we generally ask the student to run a small Python script so that they can find out the checksum for their project, and we can match if the same checksum is being given in the spreadsheet that is with the TA. Then we can proceed the Viva. Else, we can ask the students to, either ask them to use the same project that was submitted on the portal. If they are not able to find the same project or the checksum is not matching even after so many of attempts, then you can tell the student to simply download it from the portal. And in that case, you can even skip the validation step because the submission itself has been taken from the portal. Yeah. So once that these initial checks are done, you will also be given a checklist of items that you basically need to walk through in the entire level 1 Viva. So you will be given a set of objective based questions, which you also need to put in as it is in front of the student while conducting the Viva. And you just have to mark the responses to the answers given by the student, or whether that certain thing is present in the student's project or not. So, for example, there will be some objective-based questions based on the features that the student has in their application. Let's say if we have, asked for that if a feature A is present in the application or if feature B is present in the application. So you will have to just, record your responses in the form of yes or no based answers. And at last, depending on the responses given by you, we will find out the consolidated score for a given student to check whether they meet the cutoff criteria or not. Yeah. So this is basically what you all be doing if you basically become TAs for the app dev courses. So let me know if any one of you is having any questions. Okay, so looks like there are no questions.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Will we be joined in a group with the course support team, like you and Dhanya ma'am?
Yeah,
Any
correct. So
group?
yeah. So once your engagement is finalized, sorry. So once your engagement is finalized, yes, we'll add you to a Google Chat space where we'll be in touch with you all the time so that you can get your queries clarified as soon as possible.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
So Abhishek sir, our job or whatever our task is to just doing a schedule work with for the level 1. We are not going to check their project, or we are not going to do any extra help on their project, right? It's just to scheduling on helping on the level 1 by right?
Yeah, correct. That's
Okay.
with respect to the evaluating their projects.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
We
yes,
talked
please.
about writing name, email ID, and image in the Excel sheet. So where we get that image? So we have to ask from the student.
No, sorry, I did not get it.
So you said writing a student detail in the Excel sheet, right?
No, you will
You
be
said
given
I think.
these details in the spreadsheet that will be sent to you one day before the Viva. So you will be given
Oh,
all of these details like the email ID, the
yeah, right.
photograph of the student, the checksum of the
Oh,
project submission and all. These details will
okay.
be
So we,
pre-populated in the spreadsheet that you will be sent.
okay, we have to match that, right?
Yes, you just have to match those things. Okay, so what we'll do after this call is we will basically float a Google form with all of the people who have attended this session, or we'll share the recording as well to those who could not join this call this evening. So we'll basically share a Google form where we are going to ask for your consent if you are willing to be TAs for app dev courses. Once you give us your consent, so what we'll do is we'll basically schedule some demo rounds with you so that we can make you familiar with the procedure that what has to be done. So what will happen is that we'll basically form pairs of students, and in each of those pair, what will happen is one student will become a student, the other one will become a TA or the level 1 examiner, and we'll try to simulate the similar kind of experience that you would have in the actual level 1 viva, so that you also get some experience, or you can probably be able to ask some questions in case you are finding any problems at that stage.
And sir, when will it start? Like after the end-term exam or before the end-term exam?
Well, so this time the vivas have been already started, so we'll try to complete this entire process. Means once you give your consent, we'll try to schedule your demo calls with each other as soon as possible, because the projects have all means the cycle for this term has already been started. One cycle has already been completed, so there are 3 or 4 more cycles to go, and that is where we require your help.
Okay, so it will be before end-term.
It will be after the interim. Now the cycle before the interim has already been over. So yes, your work will mainly start after the interim exam in this term. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, how many level 1 viva should a TA per TA should be conducted for one TA?
Well, right now we have not decided on that part. So once we basically finalize the list all of the TAs, maybe we'll look at the data and we'll probably get back to you for this question. But right now, yeah, there is no restriction as such. So you can give as many slots as you can take for the level 1, and we'll share all of those slots to the students, which they can book.
Sir, on a rough level 1 viva, how much time it take for a TA?
Well, an ideal level 1 Viva does not take more than 20 minutes, but it generally takes 20 to 30 minutes, not more than that. In some rare of the cases, it basically goes beyond 30 minutes. But yeah, 30 minutes is what you will be able to wrap up everything.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Abhishek, yes. Saurabh or Paul, do you want to add anything from your experience that the new TA should be aware of, or something that we might have missed out?
Sure, ma'am. So the main thing about the time is that most of the time, if it's like quick, if the student has everything sorted out, it will finish in 10 to 15 minutes max. But if the checksum doesn't work, or if like there's configuration issues in the computer, that's when it starts to take some time. So that's why you can't really have a predictable time limit. Also, as to um, how many vivas we took last time, we had it on the certificate, like which we got for being TA. So like it was there in the certificate how much vivas we took. Right now, like, as Abhishek sir said, we didn't have any restrictions, so we could take it based on our time and schedule. Yes, man, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh.
Ma'am,
Paul,
ma'am, that was all, ma'am.
do you have anything to add? Yeah. Oh, it was Paul who was speaking. Okay, sorry. Saurabh, you want to add something? Okay, maybe he is not able to respond. Yeah, that's okay. So just if 1 or 2 things to what Abhishek mentioned. So see, the slots are actually booked by you. So um, depending on when it is convenient for you, you can book the slots. And in extreme cases, if there is some last minute emergency where you are unwell, you're sick or something, then you can ping us in the group and we'll make alternate arrangements. But there will be some minimal expectations, because you complete all these courses and we expect some kind of maturity and responsibility from your side, such that you don't give us slots which are kind of available in and out all the places, and then suddenly say, okay, I cannot be available for this slot. So when you give your slot, you're kind of making a commitment that I'll be available in this slot, and only if the student books, that slot will be allotted to you. So you're more like, okay, I'm available on these slots, and once the student books, I'm ready to take the viva on this slot. That's the commitment. Okay. And you give a lot of slots and you say that, okay, I thought these are the things in which I'm available, and those kind of things is very difficult. So when you're giving a slot, it means you're saying, okay, I'm free on these slots, and students can book on any of these slots, and I might get a viva, I might have to conduct a viva on any of these slots. Okay. In fact, all of the slots that you give might be filled with students. So that is something that you have to understand very clearly. Second thing, always keep the goal in mind. The purpose of the Viva is to ensure that when this goes out into the, like when this project, right, as a presentation as such, when it goes out into somebody outside. So that's what the level 2 happens, right? We always have external examiners in level 2, as compared to the Jan term or May term, where we also had some internal examiners. In this one, everyone is going to be an external examiner. So we want to filter in only those students who have that minimum functionality implemented in this project. So this responsibility is on you. So I mean, finally, like if there are some statistics that comes out, something like you have cleared about 10 students and about 9 or 8 of them fail in the level 2, right? That's kind of not a very credible performance from your side, right? So at level 1, at the same time, you don't have to be like every feature is implemented or anything. You have to be on that reasonable side where you ensure that, okay, if this goes into an external person, it will not be a bad show, or rather it will be a fairly good show by the student, as well as that's the kind of responsibility that we expect from you. So committing to this is like, I'm not saying it's a big responsibility, but there is some definitive responsibility which is associated with this role. Okay. Second thing. Third one, minimum number of vivas. So we have not officially thought about any minimum number of vivas, but as far as possible, like, you can give your slots and we will see, like, we are also kind of observing few vivas and see how you're doing and everything. And depending on that, we might also take a call on whether some revision needs to be done. But general, last time nothing like that has happened. So this time you can give as many viva slots as you can commit. And even before NTEM, if there is something coming up, I don't know whether, I don't know if there is even one slot which is coming up before that, but if you are free, it's just a matter of 30 minutes and you can give it a try. That's not a problem. Okay. So so the responsibility part. So when you're going in there, you're going in. So some of these students, I've observed like this time, they don't, when they realize that you are a student from our side, right, rather than an external examiner, then they kind of try to underplay and all that. But we have a very stern and strict tone, not a very dominant tone, but very stern and strict tone. You are a representative of IITM now, of this program. Go in with that responsibility, go in with that maturity, go in with that kind of authority as well. I'm not saying dominance, but authority, wherein you say that, okay, I am here to do a job and I will do it. We have had students telling the TAs, right, that okay, you are a student, so maybe you should check with the instructor whether what you're saying is right or wrong or something. So you should say that, okay, I have been entrusted this job by the. So you don't have to shout, or you don't have to say that you don't have to. You don't have to tell the student something like, that is not your job or anything like that. No, you have to, everything is recorded. Every single session is recorded. You being a representative of IIT, we would expect some very responsible behavior from your side. So if in case some student is not, is coming up with some argument like, maybe you don't know, you should check with instructor and all that, you stand up for yourself and say that, see, I have been entrusted this responsibility after a good filtering process, and I am here to do this job. So please let me complete this job. Let me just evaluate your work, and you have to convince the student. Take 1 or 2 minutes to convince the student that you have the authority to do that. Okay. That's totally fine. Okay. Yeah, Saurabh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just had one thing to share regarding the amount of time it actually takes to do the Viva. So I've noticed over the past few months that maybe 2 Viva typically takes a bit longer, and there's more troubleshooting that might be required in the beginning, especially because a lot of students don't seem to be properly aware about how the checksum actually works. So they don't know where to run it, and they run it in different folders and they get the wrong hash. So typically that process takes about 15 minutes. If they don't know what they're doing, it can take up to 20 minutes. So I would allocate about 1 hour for the AppDev 2 Viva instead of 30 minutes, which means if you're booking 2 slots for AppDev 2, I would avoid booking 1 hour slots that are only 1 hour apart. So maybe 1.5 hours of the 30-minute buffer after the 1 hour slot would be better. Just a suggestion. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So anyone else has any questions? Others, do you want to add anything?
No, ma'am, not at this point.
Okay. Pradeep, how about you? Anything to add? Okay. Yeah. So others, I mean, does any of you have any questions? If you don't, yeah, Abhishek, yeah, carry on.
Nothing.
Yeah, okay. Then I think we can close the call, right?
Yeah. So if there are no more questions, yes, we can close the call. So we'll float that consent Google form to check who all
Do we have
of
an
you are
NDA,
basically
Abhishek?
interested.
NDA is there?
Sorry.
NDA, do they have to sign the NDA?
Yes. That will be after the consent form, ma'am.
Yeah. So that also we can just mention. I mean, did we mention that?
No. I guess no.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead? Yeah. Or shall I mention it? Okay. So there is this non-disclosure agreement that once you commit to this, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, uh, just to ensure that there is this confidentiality of the whole process that's happening inside, because you might be exposed to like a lot of internal things, right? I mean, may not be much, but still that is more as a procedure. But take it with all seriousness, sign it and return it to us. Okay, there is a template which is this non-disclosure agreement. So take it, sign and return it. Okay. Yeah, Abhishek, that's it from my side.
Okay. So I guess, yeah, thank you everyone for joining this call. So as we said that we'll share the Google form with you all, and you should be able to give us your consents if you want to be the TAs for these app dev courses. So yeah, the form should be shared with you by tomorrow morning, I feel. Yeah, that's it from our end. In case there are any more questions, then you can please ask, else we can formally close this session.
Thank you, Sha. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all for joining.